once again for Two Women Talking, part 2 of our in-depth look at Once Upon a Time that was requested by a sponsor. And so it's me, Leanna Kersner, Tomboy, Son W. Erickson, Girly Girl, and we were chomping at the bit the first half where we made ourselves be nice. Or because I want people to see that we're fans of the show. We actually loved it, which is why we have the issues that we do. But this is going to be the tea spilling what we did not like about Once Upon a Time and song. Do we want to start with the thing you really want to savage? Or should we deal with when things started going wrong, season 3?
Let's start with Regina, and we will get to Brave.
Okay, so season 2, we all agree. Season 1 and 2, we both agree are excellent.
Yes.
It started coming apart with the Neverland storyline in season 3 and the introduction of Zelina, Regina's sister, who steals her man. And
what even was that?
Okay, big pet peeve of mine, and I know it's a fairy tale thing, but I thought it could have been handled better. Baby shit. Fighting over babies.
That was the worst thing. And it's like, I feel like, I don't even know, man. That one was just so, so gross.
It was so non-con too. Like, that was sexual assault, what Zelina does to Robin. And I'm not into blondes. Like, I'm not into blonde men, but Sean Maguire, so adorable. He charmed me, and he was treated so poorly. Done so dirty. Like, he's a good actor, and he had nothing to do but squint.
Did he choose to leave? Is that what happened?
No, I don't know. I mean, he was a recast, wasn't he? Because Robin was originally played by what's his name, the guy who went on to play Lucifer.
I don't remember.
I know the guy from Lucifer was in what's his name? Tom. I always confuse.
1 second.
He's the Tom whose name I never remember because there are so many Toms now. There used to be too many Chris's. Now there are too many Toms.
Tom Ellis.
I always confuse him with Tom Meissen, who was Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow.
Let me see if I can find it. Yes, he was originally Robin Hood for one episode.
Yeah. And then they wanted to do that ongoing arc, and he wasn't available, so they needed to get Sean Maguire, and he was very good.
He was
very good. And holy shit, that storyline bothered me so much.
He and Regina worked really well too.
Yeah.
But the show kept... Did they bring real Marion back, or was it just Zelina in disguise?
I don't remember. It was so convoluted. But the fact that she tricks him into... It's a freaking Ace of Base song. All that she wants is another baby. I was like, this is also barf-worthy. This is horrible. This is like, no, it's not okay to deceive a man. And then he got stuck with her, and it was horrible. And why are we doing this? Please stop.
And if the genders were reversed, we would acknowledge just how awful that storyline is.
It was that way. It was the worst case of feeling just assaulted by false feminism I'd felt until The Last of Us 2. That bad for me. I was just like, oh my God, this story is bad. This writing is bad. It's Rumpelstiltskin that takes the babies. Why are you doing with this with the Wicked Witch of the West? Like, what? Because it was the whole, oh, she's wicked, Regina's evil. I'm like, what the? And this is when we started getting into the innate characteristics, the innate personality traits phase of Once Upon a Time that I did not like. It was, Regina's evil, therefore, not Regina does things that are evil.
Like, look, there is a fine line between being a victim and becoming an abuser, or in
Right.
this case, becoming a villain. And Regina does cross that line.
Sure.
However, the simple fact that there were so many characters who did so many terrible things,
right,
and
that were the good guys. Charming does some shit.
Snow
Yeah.
does
Oh my
some
God.
shit.
Snow is so manipulative and devious.
And Snow keeps doing what she thinks are the wrong things for the right reasons.
Right.
And going overboard, like the whole thing with Maleficent's daughter. Just what was that? That was just bizarre.
Like Snow is such a mean girl in places, and I don't think that's intentional, but
it's there.
Crap. It was just very obvious. And I don't like, I mean, okay. I have done my treaties on the Evil Queen in Lady Bits, and the Evil Queen will be returning for the boss fight game because I love her. But that line, and the Evil Queen's voice is actually me doing Captain Jack Sparrow. So forgive me, but you're trying to do anything for yourself. You're evil. That was partially inspired by my feelings about once upon a time's suggestion that Regina wanting things was evil, and Snow not wanting to do what she's forced to do. Oh, I feel so bad. That's what makes a girl good. Oh, please piss off.
And that's the thing, is it's like Regina was abused and became who she was because of her mother, because of her husband, because of Snow. And it's like, when you look at it, it's like, at first when Regina is talking about, oh, she's a spoiled little brat and yet she's terrible and no one can see it. At first you're like, okay, sweetie, you're clearly jaded. You've clearly been hurt. But then you actually see how Snow behaves throughout the show, and you're like, maybe Regina was on to something here.
Snow is a brat.
Yes.
Yeah, she is. She's a complete brat. And
I'm not even, the main thing Regina blames Snow for is for telling Cora about Daniel, who was the stable boy that Regina was first in love with. And that's the inciting incident for why Regina doesn't like her. And look, I don't blame Snow for that. She was a little girl, and Cora said, I'm trying to protect my daughter.
Right.
And so, of course, Snow revealed a secret. She really thought she was trying to help.
Right.
But
yeah, she has no blame there.
But I also don't think she ever learned from that lesson.
I thought the good and evil dichotomy that I thought was going to be a starting point that they were going to complicate ended up being a guiding principle, and it was just bad.
And it's such a bad theory. It's such a bad starting point.
Well, because it's that thing you talk about having an off-ramp. If you want people to change, you want people to do better,
you need to give them the option.
Yeah. There needs to be the potential for forgiveness and redemption. Yeah. And Once Upon a Time is a show where, unfortunately, men are good and evil based on what they do. Women are good or evil because of what they are. And that's
they're good or evil.
Sexism.
No. They're good or evil based on what they wear.
Well, okay. Do you think the fashion drives the character, or Regina dresses fabulously because she's bad? She's allowed to dress to be seen because she's the bad girl.
I think that hideous purple dress she wears at the very end, which looks like it belongs on Snow, kind of proves that it is the fashion.
You don't think that's supposed to be she's finally changed?
I think that's what they meant to do, but it's still like, why can't this is the finale dress, you
Yeah,
know, when
yeah,
she's
yeah,
becoming queen of the United Enchanted Forest or
yeah,
whatever it was called.
yeah,
Oh my God, what was that ending? But, you
yeah.
know, the fact that she couldn't still wear her maroon or her burgundy, which are her signature colors,
Right.
or even a dark purple, you know, an imperial purple that, you know,
Yeah, a
it's
royal
not as,
purple would have been great.
yeah, a royal purple would have worked. But no,
Although
they
that
put her,
is what Snow White's original evil queen wears, which might have been interesting because she's purple
yeah,
and red, right?
yes, but
Yeah.
it's like, it's still, oh no, she has to wear this light purple dress. And I'm like, it's not Regina.
No.
It, you know, you can't deny what her past has been. That will always color who she is. She can move past it, but it will still always be there.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, she just looked better in the darker colors. And I like dark colors. So I would
I
have rather her wear a dark color.
I mean, I have an issue with the idea that being dressed to be seen and possibly even enjoyed is a bad thing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like that. I think if anything that makes someone feel more confident, go for it.
And
Right?
that's why I don't like that dress.
Yeah.
And the fact that in order to prove she had completed her redemption
Yeah.
and now got to be the good queen, she had to wear a dress that, like I said, looked like something Snow would wear. It did
Right.
not look like something Regina would wear. So no, I think
I
it
mean,
is
okay.
very
At that point, the show had so lost the plot.
true, but I do think there is a if you dress sexy and if you dress fashionable, because we do have that, especially in that era, there was that thing of it, we still have it. It's like the woman who does dress in tight, slinky clothing. Oh, she's automatically bad. She's the femme fatale. She's the
Yeah.
vamp, and
And I mean, we
she's
both have the problem where we either dress that way to some degree or we look like potatoes. Because if
yes.
we don't define the waist, it's not good.
And here's the thing: there was a point where my my grandmother wanted me to start wearing looser clothing so my boobs wouldn't be so obvious. And luckily my mom defended me. She's like, if she puts on something looser, it'll just look like a potato sack and it won't look good.
And that's the issue. I mean, I am constantly struggling with that because of the cancel culture thing.
Mhm.
It's like I either wear something that doesn't look as good and I feel less I don't feel like I'm putting my best foot forward because it's proper and appropriate, and that's not me,
Mhm.
or I dress what I like and get canceled and get my motives misconstrued by other women.
We really do need to do a whole series on fashion and talking
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, well, yeah, we talked about that before we started recording too. But
Yeah.
it's the same issue I had with Enchanted that,
Mhm.
oh, she takes his credit card, goes on a shopping spree, buys a designer dress, and then she gets her happiness. Murph, you
I,
know.
I just want to add, since you brought up Enchanted, that Disney costume exhibit I got to attend,
Mhm.
we also got to see the evil queen and Giselle's wedding dress
Okay,
from the movie.
right.
Oh my God, they're so cool.
Oh, nice.
Like I tried to take pictures, but like I couldn't do them justice. And
Oh,
just
because the
all they,
glass.
yeah, they
Yeah,
looked so good. Oh my God. Yeah.
nice.
That that was one of the best days of my life, getting to go
Nice.
see those dresses.
I really like those wardrobe exhibits too. Every time
Yeah.
there's one that I can see, I go to because it really does show, first of all, the difference between what you see in person and what you see on screen,
Yeah.
but also how much the costuming department thinks about these characters.
Yeah. I'm waiting for a House of the Dragon one in a
Oh,
couple
I'd go to
years.
see that.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
absolutely go because the wardrobe game definitely stepped up from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Some of those
Um
costumes were pretty cheap ass in Game of Thrones. I hated half of what Daenerys wore.
I will say you know, even back when I didn't watch Game of Thrones, because, you know, trying to be a good Christian girl, I waited every season to see the new costumes. But then, like, for the last 3 or 4
Cersei's
seasons,
dresses were fire.
oh yeah, her
Yeah.
and King's Landing Sansa
Yes.
were my
Well,
favorites.
really, because I thought King's Landing Sansa's costumes were very interesting and perfect for her character and somewhat drab.
They did get a bit samey after a
Yeah.
while. It's kind of the same pattern, but like the rough idea I liked. And the pretty fabrics. But like
Okay.
the last 3 or 4 seasons, everyone was just wearing black and I got bored and I didn't care.
Yeah,
Boo.
it's like Marjorie Terrell gets killed and fashion dies.
That's exactly
Yeah,
it.
the day the fashion died, you know. But yeah, so getting back to Once Upon a Time. Okay,
Yes.
we've done season 3 now, I think.
Yeah.
Neverland blew the execution. That was when things started to go wrong. And
Yes.
then we get to season 4.
Okay.
Where the scarlet rot, to use an Elden Ring reference, fully blooms, and we descend into full-blown terrible, because now they've
And
had to reset the curse for the 3rd time.
and season 4 is when we got Frozen.
We got
And
Frozen and Camelot, and I'm not
no,
even gonna
Camelot was season 5.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Okay, so wait.
So
Yeah, Frozen
season
was it was the Cruella de Vil Maleficent Ursula thing.
and we'll get to that, but let's start with Frozen because here's the thing. My issue with the Frozen arc is the same issue that I have with the live action Disney movies. And I will explain. We all know what is my favorite movie ever.
Cinderella.
Yes.
Yeah.
That movie, directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Lily James with the most amazing dress ever made, ever. Yes, I got to see that dress. So there is not a single shot in that movie that is shot for the animated movie.
Kenneth Branagh is a wonderful director. He's not
Yeah.
necessarily a great human being, but he knocks it out of the park every fucking time as a director.
So now there are homages to the original. Like there's a point where Cinderella sings Sweet Nightingale as she's getting eggs from the chicken, but it's not, oh, she's washing the floor and singing
Right.
Sweet Nightingale, just like she did in the animated movie. The outfits are different. Everything's different. You got this cool butterfly symbology that comes in from the very beginning, and then there's butterflies on her dresses as a nod to her parents. It's beautifully done. And there is a point, I remember seeing it for the first time in theaters, and there's a point after the ball where I kind of sat back and I was really enjoying it, but I kind of sat back and I'm like, oh, I know how it goes. This will be great. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I can relax. I know what's going to happen. Then there's a twist. And I won't spoil it, but something happens and I sit forward because shit, I have no idea what's going to happen now. I have no idea how this is going to work out and how she's going to get her happy ending. And I sat forward and I was paying attention for the rest of the movie. And it's so good. I need you to watch it so we can talk about it.
I have it. I've almost had it queued up and then something happens, and I mean, I love Kenneth Branagh, so I'm sure I'm gonna like it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make this a priority. Oh, I was gonna watch it, and then I had to watch Last of Us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I probably would have enjoyed Cinderella more.
Yes. So now, I'm gonna contrast it with the 2017 Beauty and the Beast because I've already said, oh my god, I hate that movie. There
that
is
was another one I didn't think I was gonna make through because of the singing.
Oh god. So I'm saying oh god a lot. Someone save me from this. I need help to get through this.
The vapors, the fan. You need a fainting couch.
I do. So much of that movie It's just the animated movie. They added some stuff in,
Yeah.
but the stuff they
Well,
added is not worth anything.
it's songs from the musical.
No, they
And
didn't even add the
well,
okay. So
Paris of My Youth is in there.
no, it's not. That was written for the movie.
Oh, what?
But
That was
also
a terrible song performed terribly.
and here's the thing. There so we get the song Nevermore in the movie, which
Okay.
isn't bad. It's like the one moment I looked forward to the second time I watched the movie, but
Mhm.
it still doesn't compare to the song that was from the musical, which is If I Can't Love Her.
Okay.
It's much more internal and realizing, oh, hey, if I can't make her love me, maybe it's my own darn fault because I was a terrible person. It's not, oh, she's leaving me, poor me, which it's like the song isn't bad, but it's like when you compare it to If I Can't Love Her, whatever, this is a cheap replacement. I want my money back.
Yeah.
But Aladdin did a very similar. There was no point
Oof.
in Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin where I
Well,
sat up and said, I don't know what's going to happen
they
now.
were all to just renew copyrights.
Yes. And the Lion, I haven't even seen The Lion King. To be clear, I have no intention of seeing The Lion King.
It's exactly the same without the hula.
From what I so from what I understand, it's even more shot for shot than the others.
Oh, it's
It's the
very
exact
much
same movie, but less.
and there was the thing. I thought because Beyonce does the voice of Nala, I thought she was gonna rip out Shadowlands in the second half. Nope. She has an end credit song.
Which isn't even that good.
No, Shadowlands was a better song.
Shadowlands is so good.
It's
And
the
you get
reason,
Swahili in it.
yeah, it's the reason anybody wants to be in the Lion King, right?
Pretty much.
A female Broadway performer, it's a great song.
It is.
Yeah.
And so the reason the Disney live action movies suck is because they're shot for shot. They're not doing anything interesting. Even when they try to add something new, it's not good. It's
They're
not worth what they're doing. It's not the millions of dollars they are spending on these CGI monstrosities.
they're apparently changing things with the Little Mermaid, which I'm interested in. They're going to beef up the fact she's actually interested in the surface world, not just that she's going there for a boy, which, all right, I'm
Okay,
okay
but
with
they
that.
missed the opportunity of making Ursula Triton's sister because
Yeah.
this is something that was deleted from the movie, but they brought it back for the Broadway show and they actually lean into it. And so the whole reason why Ursula wants to get back at Triton is because they are the children of is it
Right.
Poseidon? I think
Poseidon.
they're
Yeah.
yeah, they're the children of Poseidon. And when he died, he divided the seas between them.
Right.
She went into full tyranny mode with her half. Triton said, nah, I can't let this slide. There was a war, and now she's been banished, and she's going, I want the good times back. And I want
Right.
to I want to be a tyrant again. I want everyone kneeling and everything.
I
And that's now the movie does have a mention, oh, I was banished from the palace.
right.
You
Yeah.
can tell I've seen these movies a
Well,
lot.
I admit I'm gonna be a little biased against the movie because I'm gonna keep looking at what's her name and going, you should have been Lizzo.
And
Now,
here's the thing,
Lizzo's
if they
vocal
had done that,
range,
we still could have had the Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula, which isn't a bad casting, but it's like
yeah,
I really wanted them to go with that lore of them
yeah,
being related, and the eels come in and they're like, we know someone who can help you. You
yeah.
can't
But
possibly mean
if
Aunt
Ursula,
Ursula.
yeah, if Ursula's a white gal, her being related to Triton is gonna be, hold up, how'd this happen?
That's why it's good casting for Melissa McCarthy. And if they're not going with the related angle, then okay, it works. But I wanted that relation angle
Yeah,
because
it's
look,
all gonna come down to whether she can sell Poor Unfortunate Souls. Because they took out Be Prepared in the Lion King, quote unquote, live action Lion King digital.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they did it for the Nazi imagery. That's why they took it out. And it's like he's the villain. He's allowed to have Nazi imagery.
Yeah, but also like, okay, so change that. You can keep the song.
Yeah. And again, then it wouldn't be shot for shot. And
I don't remember who plays Scar in the see, I block things out of my mind.
And I don't blame you.
As a defensive thing. It's like, I don't have time for so many things that bother me. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. So we should probably get back to Once Upon a Time. I think I'm avoiding, because I admit the next season,
but I'm making a specific point, and this is actually going to lead into my point for season 5, but we'll start with season 4. So the Frozen arc was announced literally like 3 or 4 months after the movie came out.
We were in full Frozen hysteria when
full Frozen hysteria. Let It Go was playing on the mainstream radio
with that weird Demi Lovato version that I still can't get right.
I actually heard the Idina Menzel movie version in the original on the radio.
I've heard it, but the Demi Lovato one got played more.
Okay, I never actually heard that one on the radio, which is fine because I didn't like that version. Demi Lovato is not a musical singer.
The whole the song was written for Idina Menzel. Like, that is defying gravity on ice, right?
Yes.
And so the whole Demi Lovato version sounds like, I might be dating myself here, but when you used to the old record players and you used to sort of put your finger on it to slow it down.
Yeah. And there's no emotion to it because Demi Lovato can belt, but there is a difference, and this is one of the problems they have with a lot of movie musicals where they cast actors who can sing versus musical actors. There is a difference between singing and singing for a story.
Oh, for sure.
And Demi Lovato is not an acting musician. But anyway, back to Once Upon a Time.
All right.
So we come in and we don't get a retelling of Frozen like we got with Snow White. We got a sequel, which was
in an ice cream shop. I was like, really? An ice cream shop?
Okay, so it's the aunt who had Elsa's powers. So their sister is a princess. Where did their father even come from?
Right.
But that also doesn't really So the aunt who used her powers poorly and their mother stuck her in an urn.
Right.
And then somehow something flipped and Elsa got trapped. When they revealed Elsa at the end of season 3, and she came out of that thing that was stuck in Gold's vault as being extremely dangerous.
That's right.
And she sashayed out of that barn. I was like, I want villain Elsa. I designed an outfit for her. The art isn't very good, but I designed a Regina style pants and cape and everything for her. And I wanted villain Elsa, and I did not get villain Elsa. I got pitiful, sad Elsa, who still does not know how to deal with her problems.
Pitiful is a perfect word for that depiction of the character.
Also, they needed a better wig because that braid was as pitiful as she was.
Oh, as somebody who spent a lot of time on the braid for my Jedi Leia, like Return of the Jedi metal bikini Leia costume. Yeah, that braid game was weak sauce.
That was probably her natural hair, maybe with some extensions to fill it out.
Well, that's what I did with mine. It's, the hair on my head is real, but you need a lot of hair to get a braid that long. So you just add.
like any of Padme's hair, especially.
Oh yeah.
There's a point in Attack of the Clones where Padme has her hair in these like metal clips. They're not braided, but it's just like metal rings throughout her hair,
Yeah.
holding it back. And she has so much hair. Like
Yeah.
I have more hair than most people. And I tried to do that hairstyle once, and I'm like, oh, I don't have enough hair. What's
Yeah.
wrong with me? And
It
then I actually thought
it's
about it, and I'm like,
yeah.
no, wait, she's got like 6 times more hair than the average person
Oh yeah, it's the
because
hair
of
of four
extensions.
additional women on her head. Yeah, there's just no
Exactly.
way to do that. And that for Padme, it's like, yeah, noble women did do that. They bought the hair of
Mm-hmm.
poor woman and used it as weaves.
Mm-hmm.
Figures that white women weave was evil some way. That's just a joke from where I came from. But okay, so we agree the Frozen storyline, there's nothing good to say about it.
There's nothing new.
Yeah,
Like if they had actually told the story of Frozen, they
right,
would have done the same thing I'm complaining about with these live action movies. They
right.
would have just retold the movie. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
But it was I don't know. I agree with you. I with the very dangerous lead up, I thought, oh, she's gonna be accidentally like icing people
That might have
over and
been
over and
more
over again.
interesting than what we got.
Yeah, it I think it was just somebody said Frozen is popular, put in Frozen,
And
and
here's the thing. The creators are very clearly fanboys,
yeah,
and not necessarily in a good way.
yeah.
Because I think they legit saw something they thought was cool. Look, if they had found a way to incorporate Star Wars into the show, they would have.
Didn't they have one moment?
There is someone who has the Imperial March as their ringtone.
That's right, and it's Princess Leia calling.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think those are two separate incidents, but
because
if they had
it was after the sale, wasn't it?
Mhm,
And
yeah,
so it's like a nod to Princess Leia as a Disney princess now.
if
He.
they could have found any way to have Darth Vader walk into Storybrooke, they would have done it.
Could you imagine some sort of like medieval knight's outfit that looks like the Vader suit? That would have been badass.
That could actually have been fun.
Make it the Black Knight and
I feel like
actually play it on the Imperial March. Like if he'd walked out during the Camelot bit over new timeline, fucking badass. Yeah, I'm sold.
oh my god, that could have actually been fun. That
Yeah.
would be Star Wars medieval.
Yeah,
Like, oh
exactly.
my god, that
Well, it is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far
far
away.
far away. Yes. So and the Frozen arc, nothing, the whole thing is bizarre, and like they
To me,
find
it
a way
felt brainless.
it was, and it's like nothing really changes. And it's funny because like they had to find a way. Oh, uh Elsa was stuck in the jar for 28 years, so we need to figure out, or 30 years, so we need to figure out a way. Why is Anna still young? Well, their aunt, when she got out, she froze all of Arendelle for 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And it's so contrived, and it's like okay.
Well, I
Talk
kind of
about
went, okay,
disappointing.
it's like, okay, you did the popular thing. It wasn't very good. Get back to the show I like, please.
And then we
They
got
didn't.
the triad with Cruella, Ursula, and
Yeah,
Maleficent.
the Macbeth witches with and I like the Disney villain brand, but it didn't work.
And here's the thing, Cruella's story is interesting, and like it would have been an interesting like 1-2 off villain
Yeah,
in the first season or
she
something.
overstayed her welcome.
Yes, but
Yeah.
she was boring.
I think of the
She was
three,
underutilized.
yeah, this isn't saying much, but of the three, I liked Cruella the best.
Yes. Maleficent, I mean, Maleficent showed up in episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the finale, she's she's released as a dragon, and then she shows up. I'm pretty sure Emma fights her at the end of season
Yeah.
1. And then she comes back, and her storyline is she wants to find her daughter. Cool.
Okay.
It leads to terrible stuff with Snow and Charming.
Yeah.
Proving that Snow is an entitled little brat.
That's when Snow got real bratty, wasn't it?
And yes, and here's the thing. So in season 1, Ursula is first mentioned during the Little Mermaid episode, and she comes in pretending to be Ursula, who the show describes as a sea goddess. And well, I don't think they straight up say it. She's Ursula. She comes in. Now, there is a moment where Regina is looking in her mirror and watching everything go down. And something, I don't remember what it is, something happens that implies Ursula herself is going, I'm sorry, why are you stealing my identity?
Mm-hmm.
So then we get to season 4 when Ursula herself shows up, and we see her tragic backstory because of course, and because it's not even, and it's like I said, I just went on this whole spiel about the backstory in the musical, which is no, Once Upon a Time can't have that. All the villains have to have a tragic backstory. No one can just be a brat, which is ironic because they're going with this whole good or bad is innate. And
it's like, but why are you making me care about characters that you're just gonna keep a villain?
Yeah.
If they're female. If they're male, no, they all turn good eventually. Well, Pan didn't, but the main guys, oh no, redemption's possible for men, but women,
Yeah. And so then Ursula was a mermaid, but then she's named after the goddess of the sea.
Right.
And so later in season 5, they bring in the Greek gods. There's also mention in one season of Cupid and Cupid's fountain. And I'm just sitting there. Look, I hate to toot my own horn, but in Camelot, and I know you've read this part, there's a couple paragraphs about halfway through the first volume where a goddess basically walks across the stage.
Okay.
She doesn't say anything. She doesn't really do anything. It's her chariot bringing the dawn across the sky.
Right.
It's very poetic. So I'm not just saying, hey, goddess real. But at the same time, it's set up and phrased in a way that you read it, it's not just metaphor. And now I can do whatever I want.
Right.
Because I established that the gods are real without having to say straight up, oh, hey, the gods are real.
Right. There it is. Everybody saw it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They did not do that with Once Upon a Time.
No.
And I'm pretty sure they call him Cupid, which is the Roman name, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Eros is the Greek name.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but we also see Zeus and Hades with none of the others. It's like, if you're going to use the Greek gods, use the Greek gods, man.
Well, that was, I remember very little of this because it was terrible and I blocked it from my mind. Like every time I see Hades referenced in Once Upon a Time, it's like, oh yeah, that was bad. It doesn't look like anything to me from Westworld. Terrible.
It's like this was the point where I was getting really hypercritical of the series.
Yep, me too.
And so I was starting to pay even more attention, and things weren't going, I wasn't letting things fly past anymore because I'm like, you are actively sucking. Yeah. This is terrible writing.
Yeah, this is when it all becomes a blur to me too, because it was just a bunch of one-off moments for Ariel was god awful. The cameo there, was she in it in a few episodes? I just remember they got an actress that very much looked the part.
She was cute,
and they did fuck all with her.
She shows up as basically a Deus Ex Machina throughout the series.
Yeah.
And it's she basically spends the series enslaved to one person or the other because they
Pretty
have the
much.
magic shell.
Yeah. Which is terrible. And a character that's defined by wanting freedom gets that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it just and they were still trying to figure out what to do with Zelina there. And it was clear at this point that Regina was just going to get tortured over and over and over again because reasons. It was a big honking mess by the end of season 4.
And the worst part is, Maleficent finds her daughter, who is another example of how incestuous the show was. And maybe I'm not using that word quite right, but just how interconnected everything is. Because it's like we had just had the Frozen arc where the Snow Queen was Emma's foster mother. And now we get a story where Maleficent's daughter not only holds all the potential darkness that Emma could have had if she was evil,
yes.
but also they were friends as kids until Emma betrayed her.
Did you have problems suspending disbelief with the number of characters that they'd never mentioned before, and now here they are, very tightly interconnected?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when they bring Aladdin in, and Aladdin and Jasmine were so wasted. It's like they were there for little blips. They didn't get a full storyline.
Yeah.
And it Aladdin as a past savior, that whole thing. Oh my.
Yeah.
And the shears of destiny.
Oh God. Right. Have they brought in the author concept yet? Oh fuck, that was terrible. I get that was to give Henry something to do, but
then Henry breaks the quill anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole concept of someone writing the story doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so none of this.
Well, he had the book, right?
The book could have just been explained by the curse.
Sure.
It's like, it's basically implied if there's a curse, there's a book somewhere.
Right.
And it's Rumpelstiltskin wrote it into the curse, and that's part of it.
Right. It's just a cursed object. I mean, I think that part of the reason this show jumped the shark so hard is they got very stuck on that curse instead of using other fairy tale tropes as plot problems.
Yeah, you could have done something. They used it like 4 times in 7 seasons.
It was the lost problem. They had to keep rebooting.
Mm-hmm.
It was not good.
Yeah.
That's all. It was not good. And I think we're just selling the drama to get to season 5. Right?
This is about the time when this is the rant that I pre-wrote.
Okay. Here we go.
And this is when the pop feminism becomes extremely painful. Let's talk about Brave for a minute. So I'm going to go back to the Brave movie, the original movie.
Yeah. In case people haven't seen it.
In the original movie, set in roughly 12th century fantasy Scotland, you have a 16-year-old princess. There is no mention of her being passed over for her younger brothers. So this is clearly a egalitarian society where no one is going to complain that the king's daughter is in line to next inherit.
Right.
Now, the other lords do want her to marry their sons, but it's clearly a power move.
Right.
Rather than it's an alliance rather than, well, then my son. It's not a Queen Elizabeth going, I don't want to marry someone because I don't want him to be in charge over me.
Mm-hmm.
There's never any implication of that. A few things to quickly establish about Brave lore. 1, there were originally 4 clans. They're descended from the big bad villain and his brothers.
No.
That's besides the point in this point. So 4 clans. Clan Dunbroch is Merida's clan. Her father, King Fergus, united all 4 clans to rally against the northern invaders implied to be the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
And because he led them successfully to victory, they said, hey, let's make him king because
Right.
he's a good leader. Now,
Right.
Fergus is a good soldier. He's a great warrior, but he's also kind of dumb.
Yes.
In that charming barbarian way, I clearly have a fondness for.
Right. I
His
liked
what?
Fergus and Brave too.
Yes. His wife, Queen Eleanor, is voiced by Emma Thompson, which
Yeah.
should tell you just about all you need to know about this character. She is prim, she is proper, she is the real power in this kingdom, and no one questions that.
She's
The other
steely too, though. Like
she is
she does her part, but when it's time to drop the act, she drops the act.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a woman who, when the other lords start fighting in her great hall,
Yeah.
she grabs them by the ear,
Yeah.
forces them to behave, sits
Yeah.
her husband on his throne, and then says, "This is what we're gonna do."
Yeah.
None of the lords question this. They will absolutely badmouth Fergus. They will disrespect him to his face. But the moment there is an actual question, they look to Eleanor and say, "What are we gonna do, my queen?" She is the power behind the throne. And this is why Merida is scared to get married and scared to have to essentially become an adult, because she knows she can't live up to her mother's example, because her mother does a fuck ton in that kingdom. She is the true power, and she is basically the Proverbs 31 woman.
Right.
That we've discussed.
Yeah.
She runs the kingdom. She's the true power.
It's not even the valor. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not even the power behind the throne. She just is the power.
Yeah.
She's the diplomatic one who leads everything. So please explain to me why the Brave storyline is, one, Fergus went to the witch to try and get a special helmet because he wasn't sure he could lead men into battle.
Yeah.
And so he dies with this question of, oh, was he a coward or was he not? And this is the big question about the flashback stuff. Two, why would the lords banish Eleanor, kidnap her children, and say, we're going to blackmail Merida?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
This is a movie where the women are the ones in charge,
right?
Essentially. I know this movie gets written off and people say it's too Disney for Pixar and it's boring. Shut up, you missed the point.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Hollywood and media in general tend to get Celtic myth wrong because they take the Christianized version of Celtic myth the same way they tend to do it with Norse myth.
Now, I should say there's a reason why I'm so passionate about this particular part. And it's not just because they took a story that actually was very feminist in spirit, and they tried to make it pop feminist. And there's even a point where Merida says, oh, well, men, they just can't handle the idea of a woman ruling. And I'm like, when has this ever been a problem in the Enchanted Forest?
I was going to say, this is once upon a time.
Yeah, there has never been any issue with this before.
No.
Regina was a queen on her own. Snow was the heir to her father. Where is this coming from? Well, it's because the concept of patriarchy was suddenly popular in modern conscience. So they have to make a patriarchy joke, which does not fit. Did the writers watch the movie of Brave? Because I'm not sure the writers actually watched Brave.
Now, keep in mind, this is not the She-Hulk conspiracy theory. This isn't a bunch of women doing this. These are male showrunners doing this, right?
And here's the thing. At the time that this came out, I was writing Brave fan fiction.
Okay.
So
you were very close to it.
I had seen the movie many times to work out all the lore and figure things out. Because I was like, okay, if I'm going to world build, I have to know all. I had the Brave art book just so I could get all the little bits of canon that I could.
I thought Brave was a beautiful movie. I mean, I like the fact that it gave us permission to have super frizzy hair again. I loved Merida's hair. It was just like, yes, liberate the hair.
And that's one of the worst things about it. Once upon a time, she has the wig was never good. It was curly. But then it's pretty clear they only had one wig, and as the season goes on, it gets flatter and flatter and flatter. And I know they're in a very wet climate. I'm pretty sure it was drizzling and misting most of the time they were filming, but they never fixed the wig. The curls just disappeared over time. And I'm like, you guys have to have more budget than this by now. You can Regina one more dress in order for Merida to have a decent wig.
Especially since she was a more ongoing character. It just, I don't know. Hollywood tends to throw the redhead thing because they never hire actual gingers. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts is possibly was overall worse than Scarlett Johansson as Natasha, but they throw it, and they think we're ugly. Period. End of story. I have been on the receiving end of this firsthand. They don't find natural redheaded women attractive because Hollywood is still the town of blondes with tans with a side of brunette. They want things looking as fake as possible. And they just don't try.
I'm just reminded of the year Dita Von Teese decided to be normal for Halloween. So she wore skinny jeans and this is 2015. So she was like, she basically dressed like every other woman and did bronzer and a tan and a straight brown wig. And some of her friends got so offended because they're like, but that's what I look like. Yes, honey, I don't even know you, but I can tell you right now, you're basic.
It's funny because I had to do the sunless tanner for a few years for TV. And once I got accused of appropriating by someone, and it's like, no, that wasn't trying to look not white. That was what people made me do to look properly Caucasian. So just, I have a real issue with how they fuck up redheads. Sadie Sink is our savior.
And I want to say this really quick. It's like I keep watching makeup brands who it's like, oh, now we have all these different colors that go up to these different dark shades, and I'm over here with my pale self, and I'm like, okay, when do I get some representation?
Well, there are a few brands, but that's the one they phase out first. For whatever reason, they always phase out the 10 series color. They'll drop it, and the 15 is the lowest you can get. And I mean, bras are the same way, right? They make people fit the manufactured range, not how women are actually built, and then they make you pay a boob tax to get a bra that fits properly.
I have to buy my bras online.
I do too.
Just because
I'm not paying $120 to go to a boutique and buy en prince where they pull apart. They're not actually properly made. I have to order online, and it's really frustrating. And what does this have to do with Once Upon a Time? I think that the line, previous storylines, even the Frozen storyline, like you said, they were fanboys, right? They seemed to love what they were doing, even when it wasn't great. Suddenly, no, they didn't seem to be enjoying the material anymore.
And like I said, I'm not convinced they actually watched Brave.
Oh, or like they may have watched it and not got it.
Yeah, they watched it and didn't actually pay attention. Also, bringing the witch in as like the benevolent mentor at one point, I'm like, that is not Celtic witches.
No.
That's not what they are.
Yeah, no, it just, I mean, the whole Camelot thing was dreadful, but that's that patriarchy thing you were talking about.
The Camelot arc. So it's a man isn't allowed.
Died.
Well, here's the thing. It's, the one thing about Arthur, I may be wrong here, but I feel like Arthur is basically the European King David.
Okay.
Because from what I understand, and I may be wrong here, it seems like David is held up as like an almost ideal king of Israel, not necessarily that he was. I mean, it's
Except for the
Melech Israel.
coerced, yeah, as opposed
Yeah,
to the coerced,
yeah. So not necessarily his personal life,
right.
but in as a ruler, it's David Melech Israel Kai Kai Vekayam.
Well,
It's
the
may he reign forever.
yeah, well, the Moshiach is the line of David.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it's still
depending,
believed
yeah,
that the savior will come from that line. I
depending
think
on
the interpretation.
to the Orthodox, yes. To the rest
Okay.
of us, it's like we have this thing when you hear the Moshiachs come, basically, if you're planting a tree when the Moshiach comes, finish planting the tree, then go out to meet him. Because it's like, no, it's not the Moshiach. It's a nice idea. It's a metaphor, but it's never actually happening. Like, but that was an excellent riff on the what is it, the Song of Songs? Nice, well done.
What?
Well,
Well,
you did the line.
David Menegheshaya,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I studied Hebrew in third grade.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's I can do some of the prayers and like that, like two of the songs I know.
Awesome.
So but not David, Arthur.
Yeah, Arthur.
Arthur is still regarded as an almost savior of Britain, where
Yeah,
the legend is that he still sleeps in the hills and he will return when Britain needs him most.
right,
But
right.
seasons 5, Once Upon a Time, is pop feminist. They can't have a man be a good leader. No, he has to be a terrible patriarch who is abusive and awful and sexist.
See,
And
to me, this is the uh very powerful men, male showrunners, male head of a wing, trying to show they're not like other guys by selling out other guys. To me.
yeah, no, that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's also the story of Arthur has always been so seeped in Christianity that
Yes.
even when it
Well, now,
was,
yeah, the retelling is, yeah.
yeah.
The
But I mean,
popular awareness, that's more correct. Yeah.
even back then, like before, even when the ideas of witchcraft were still like kind of pseudo acceptable
Mm-hmm.
in Christian Europe, Morgana was still good, but the Holy Grail has pretty much always been Christian symbology. And there's one point where Arthur actually mentions the burning bush. And
Right.
like, so making the Grail, they basically turned it into it's the cauldron in, I believe it's Celtic mythology, the world cauldron that like everything comes from. They turned the Grail into the cauldron.
Right.
But they also mentioned the burning bush. And I'm going, okay, are you going to give me any fairy tale context for the burning bush and why this matters? Or are you just going to drop that there and, okay, you've officially screwed up your own lore? Like, I wish Once Upon a Time is the best example I have ever found of serialization gone wrong. And this is why I'm a big proponent of you don't have to have everything planned out when you start a story, but you better have your world down.
Yes.
You have to at least be prepared for possibilities. Like, I've still done a lot of development since I started posting Calidus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's a lot of aspects, especially in the supernatural areas, that I had no idea about when I started posting it.
Okay.
But it's not in such a way that I'm going to drop it into the story and people will be like, well, where did this come from?
Mm-hmm.
No, the basics were established and I've worked within the parameters I've set. like I
Right.
said,
You're not just pulling something brand new out of your ass to
exactly.
the tofu again. You're not just throwing in a blobby chunk that you're going to flavor with whatever you need it to in a scene.
Also, like I said, goddess went across the sky in her chariot. I can
Right.
do anything now.
Yeah.
That opened a door. So it's like I had that much planned, so I'm good. And at
But
least I know where I'm going to end up.
The move there is the goddess. You made sure that was there. So if you ever needed to pull from that, you'd already established. Yeah, people would go, okay, yes, I understand. This did not come out of nowhere if you were paying attention.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and it's a slow moving story. So, like, things are just going to escalate and all that.
Well, it's multiple stories. So,
yes.
It's not slow. It actually moves. I'm reading it, guys. So, it moves. It just moves a lot of different places. So you're not. Things get some time to breathe, which I kind of like because it feels like the relationships have some time to develop. It's not, oh, everything's great instantly. There's time. They know each other. They're actually people.